Welcome to Rad on Wrestling. This is episode number 3. And today our homework assignment was what we think the best tag team wrestling match ever was. So does anybody have their picks?
Let me see. I'm pulling up my notes real quick. So it's hard for me because when it comes to tag team wrestling, the Young Bucks are my all-time favorite tag team. So trying to be unbiased, but the one that really stands out to me, especially for the Bucks, is the Escalera de la Muerte match at Double or Nothing, with Penta and Phoenix, Young Bucks in Vegas. It was just, the crowd was so hot for that match,
And how hot were you for that match?
Oh, I was hotter than a Japanese hooker on prom night.
There you go.
No, I mean it was that, like, it was just out of this world. They were able to use the ladders as tools rather than just weapons. Like, it was part of telling the actual story. So that was a really, really cool match for me. But I was trying to do some research on some other, Japanese and European wrestling, but I didn't get a chance because I kind of had a family emergency. But I'm going to go with that one.
All right.
So
Dan, what do you think?
For that match specifically, I think, is that the match where I don't know who took it, but someone took a Canadian Destroyer like off a ladder through a table or some shit like that. Is that the same match?
Yeah.
Okay, it was the one that Nick Jackson almost died on.
Okay, yeah. See, I love that match, but that spot alone in particular, I have a problem with because he gets up like 40 seconds later. Like, he takes this thing that would have killed fucking anybody in the world, and then he gets up like nothing happened 45 seconds later. That's my only problem with that match in particular.
In his defense, if we're talking about no selling, Lio Rush. Like, Lio Rush took a Canadian Destroyer through a ladder, then a package pile driver, and then popped back up and won the match. So,
which is why Lio Rush might not be on any of our lists, or at least not on my list. Lio Rush. Obviously, we're off the subject now, but Lio Rush, super fast, has some cool moves, but that alone is why I'm like, I can't give too much credibility to, like, yeah, it's like going to a circus show. I mean, when you're seeing all this stuff that, like, half the time the stuff looks like they're waiting for it's like Bubba Ray Bubba Ray, Bully Ray, Bubba Dudley, whatever he wants to go by, but he straight up says you watch these people just wait for their spot to happen, and it's not organic. And so that's like a thing that I don't think that happened in the Double or Nothing match. I definitely agree with Dan when it comes to that match. Like, it had that move ended the match, then that definitely could have been on the top of my list. My personal thing is, when I watch tag matches, I like contrasts and styles, because if you have 2 spot tag teams or 2 spot singles people, it's hard to judge whether or not something is really good when you're not adapting. It's just a lot of things, like, you're like, oh, we can do this, and so can this team, so we're going to do a lot of flips and a lot of super kicks and a lot of cool things. And also, there was a lot of like the TLC match with the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, Dudley Boys. There was a lot that I wanted to put on my list, but I just wanted to try to do one that, my thing was is getting the crowd excited without ladders, tables, and chairs. So my pick was DIY and the Revival, because it was a new era of, like, some old school action, and it was that one. I really had no idea which direction it was going to go. DIY was still, like, I mean, because they were a put together tag team of two friends that have been they've been friends for a long time. I know that they've teamed before, but the whole idea behind them was just really cool. And now when I go back and you see it, their whole them going right into them going into a rivalry after, and which is one of the best rivalries in NXT. So I'm very partial to that one. I will say second on my list, even though Young Bucks are not usually high on my list, but I really did like the Young Bucks versus Coda and Kenny Omega, because that was
going to be one of mine.
One of the few times where there was a story where like the Young Bucks actually looked conflicted, where there was like, because a lot of their matches are just straight up like, hey, hold on, you're gonna see some cool shit. And that one was them like not wanting to fight Kenny, but they had no problem tearing apart Coda. And so I liked that one. So that was a contender. But I would say that DIY and Revival had to take the top of my list. I was thinking about Rockers, Heart Foundation, because those ones were really cool. There was a lot of great tag matches when I was going back and looking at it, but my pick is DIY versus the Revival.
I agree. Okay. I mean, both of those matches really showcased true storytelling. Like they were long-term stories, and then they built off of that. You know, like it was. I mean, both respectively are definitely in my top 10.
Dan,
yeah, and on that note, and I know this is a popular one that a lot of people bring up, and I actually talked about this with you earlier today, Jay, but it's the match with, again, it's a Young Bucks against Hangman and Kenny. And that match to me is, like you were saying, it's not just the Young Bucks doing spot after spot after spot. It's actually like, it's got everything. It does have your spots, but it's also got psychology. It's got so many close pinfalls where you think the match is over and it's not, but every time you buy into it 100%. And that's definitely one on mine. I don't know if I have like a number one at the top of my list, but the Young Bucks do have the two spots at the top, and it's that match that Jay mentioned with the Golden Lovers, and then the Hangman and Omega match. But one that I feel like isn't talked about enough, and I actually just went and watched this match a week ago or so, probably about a week ago, and it does still hold up, and it's not talked about enough, but it does have people talking about it, and it's from Raw in like 2001 or 2002 or something like that. And it's considered one of the best matches of Raw of all time. And it's the two-man power trip against Jericho and Benoit.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I don't know if you guys have watched that one recently, but I watched that one like a week ago. And that it holds up to this day. Like, that's an incredible match.
Absolutely.
So that's one I think that people need to check out.
Yeah, I remember watching that live, and I was thinking like, oh, man, this is pretty cool. And
it's not a Raw caliber match. It really is not.
No, it was because especially around that era, usually they didn't have too many like, oh, we're going to do some long, like just some really good matches. It was just built up
job endings.
Yeah. And setting up for pay-per-views, which is obviously WWE's biggest crutch, is that they want to save everything for their pay-per-views, and then they have 1,000 pay-per-views a year. So it's such a, like, it's nice that AEW has just a handful of pay-per-views, and then they have these super shows so that way they could still have the matchups. But realistically, AEW still puts on, like, they don't care if they have a pay-per-view the next week. They have done a great job of consistently putting on just good matches on the, like the week before the pay-per-view, the week after the pay-per-view. And I think that it's a shame that WWE just wants to, I mean, I don't know if it's their call or not, or if it's, if they have to put out a certain amount, but it's the amount of so many pay-per-views, it hinders their product, because you don't get matches like that one on Raw, where, you got like a surprise. Like it's usually just some squashes, and then like 3 months later they want you to forget about that squash because they're now building up that team, and Yeah, I think that 100% that's a great match.
Absolutely. I mean, even going back, like, because that was the match Triple H tore his quad, right?
I believe it was, yeah. I believe that was the first time he tore, and then he was out for like the next year or whatever it was.
Okay, yeah. Then, I mean, if then as long as my memory serves me, that was just an amazing match. And I'm definitely going to go back and rewatch it just to remind myself.
Yeah, it was. I just looked up, and it was that match he did tear his quad. Just because for some reason I thought it was on a pay per view, but yeah, it was a May 21st, 2001, and then he.
That was 2001. My God damn.
Yeah, it was but that was that was a cool moment. I'm glad. I mean, as much of like Benoit not really existing in the. You got Thanos
redacted.
Thanos snapped out of the universe of the WWE, but it is a good. I mean, it sucks because he had some really good matches. I mean, even that, like, I mean, stepping away from tag matches, his match, like the triple threat with Kurt Angle and Jericho when they had the European and the Intercontinental Champion, like there was really that era was just incredible work where they got to just display their in-ring work, and now you don't really see that. You definitely don't see that on any Raw program. SmackDown, sometimes they'll throw some things out. Like it's cool seeing right now Cesaro getting a big push, and so that I guess we'll just segue now from that. Like, is any input from on AEW or WWE programming from this week?
I haven't really watched any WWE this week at all. AEW, I've kind of been like checking in here and there, and I'll just kind of watch matches lately that have been like the must sees from Dark and Dynamite.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't really watched WWE this week at all, to be honest.
So on AEW, is there any angles that you're liking right now, or is just them in good in ring work?
I mean, you guys both know I'm always looking for like just psychology, and AEW always delivers on that. But in terms of angles, I just love in general what they're doing with. I mean, I'm a Taz stan, but Team Taz and Hook. Like, I didn't think I would like Hook, but I'm actually starting to become like a fan of Hook, which I never would have thought I would say. I didn't even know who the fuck he was, like, you know, a year ago or whatever it was. But yeah, I just anything with Taz is basically like why I watch AEW lately. And that's weird to say because, you know, look at Taz from when he was like a commentator on SmackDown or even prior to that. And it's just like I never gave much cares for him.
Yeah.
But I pretty much exclusively watch AEW for Taz and Excalibur.
Those are good reasons to watch. I mean, Taz definitely has gotten back. I mean, is just some of his personality that was definitely lost as like. I mean, because I remember being very excited of him coming to WWE. He choked out Kurt Angle, and then he started to fizzle, and then they started doing the whole like angle with Jerry Lawler and Raven getting involved, and I was like very excited for. I mean, I was a huge Raven fan from ECW going into WCW, so when he went to WWE, I was like,
until I met him.
Yeah. Well, personality-wise aside, but I was like thinking, I was like, man. I thought there's no way WWE's gonna screw up Raven, and then I don't know if Raven happened or if WWE affected Raven, but it was very forgettable. But and then Taz just went from that angle into basically commentating, and then which he was very entertaining commentating, but he was a WWE version of Taz, and it's. AEW has brought back the old Taz, which is awesome. Like,
well, we're also skipping over Taz's whole time in Impact, because there we kind of got the next evolution of Taz because we got what WWE had helped develop as a commentator, but then we started to get Taz as himself. Like not necessarily as the the suplex machine, but we got Taz to be Taz on commentary, and it was pretty cool. I loved Taz in Impact, and I'm stoked for him now.
Yeah, I definitely. I think the stable's cool. I mean, obviously, they've got plans. I mean, Starks has a lot of promise. I mean, I think that Brian Cage is going to be getting pushed up more, especially with his recent win over Hangman cleanly, which is the thing where I thought for sure there have been like something, because they've been pushing Hangman as like the guy, and for him to lose cleanly to Brian Cage means that they clearly have plans for Brian Cage, because they don't do. AEW is really good about not just doing a loss and being like, oh, there's no reason for this loss. Like, it's usually they build something for it. So obviously, and they also keep doing the just, like Brian Cage not really always fully on board with everything with Team Taz. So that is some cool stuff looking for. I was very not into the QT Marshall thing we've talked about in our chat. I have thought about it recently. I'm still not a fan of it on Dynamite. I think it's more, that would have been a cool more angle for Dark. But I will say now Cody Rhodes coming back into it, maybe it'll grow on me, but at the same time, I will say at least they're giving people shots that, like, if it doesn't work out, then oh well, at least they tried, as opposed to obviously WWE that's just like, oh, no matter what you guys are cheering for or what you guys want, we're not going to give that to you. And so I eat my words a little bit on the QT Marshall angle, because it actually does show promise. And so I think I was wrong on that one.
Well, with QT Marshall taking some of the Nightmare Factory students, it's really working, because it's giving people like Anthony Ogogo and Nick Camarado and Aaron Solo a chance to shine. Because when you look at the feud, you got Billy Gunn, you got Cody Rhodes, you got Dustin, and QT Marshall. Like, if you watch Ring of Honor, you watch the Indies, yeah, QT Marshall, you know that he's super, super good, really good at what he does, but we don't know what these other guys can really do. We've seen them on Dark, and Anthony Ogogo's had 2 matches, but they've really worked his boxing background into it, especially with that the gut punch. Because I mean, if you get hit by a boxer like that, yeah, you're going down for at least 3 seconds.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. I just feel like QT Marshall doesn't do it for me. Like, I don't care what the storyline they put him in or anything. Like, he's just so bland to me. Like, he's the most vanilla wrestler there is today, in my opinion. Like, I just can't get into it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I said, I love the angle. I just have a hard sell on QT Marshall as well. Like, there's a lot of people that are capable or even just good in the ring, but unless you don't, like, how they say the it factor, I don't know if QT has that it factor. I will say, since turning heel, I'm a huge fan of Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Those are people I think have it factors. Hell, I would have even been really stoked if Dustin would have been the guy that turned the Nightmare Factory against Cody, or even Glacier. There's a lot of people that I would have been fine with. That I would have been like, okay. I mean, if as long as they can bring that ice back down and play off the whole Mortal Kombat reboot thing, I would have been cool with Glacier being the guy that. But at least, I mean, they're very giving a buddy a shot, I guess. But
well, and I mean, thinking about AEW's booking in the past, it's very likely that they're going to have someone else turn.
Yeah, maybe it'll be Cody. No, he just went on.
Might be Dustin. It might be Dustin.
It could. We could. maybe we'll get like the Dustin from the Attitude Era where he was like neon colors and had like the spiked bra on and
Dude, I hope he goes full on. Have you ever heard that story where he wanted to get breast implants and Vince
yeah,
McMahon shot it down?
that
I'm hoping he goes full on into it now, dude. Tony Khan probably would be like, hell yeah, bro.
I mean, yeah, Tony Khan's got money where he can pay for him to get the boob job and then have him pay to have the boob job taken off. And if it really goes good, put the boob job back on, and then
Dude, make it like a pay-per-view special, dude. He only has the boobs for the pay-per-views, and then at the Dynamites and the Darks, he comes out flat-chested, bro.
Let's go Total Impact style. Let's put boobs on a pole. And if Dustin gets to it, then he's getting the boob job. That's
boobs on a pole match.
I will pay the cost of a pay-per-view for that to not happen.
I was trying to think if there's yeah, I think that right now AEW has more interesting angles this week. The only thing NXT that has been, I mean, obviously Adam Cole came back. Then you have the whole what we talked about last week, Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell, and so that thing's still developing, which seems pretty cool. $1 Million Man getting involved with some storyline, and
representing my Money Inc. shirt right now.
There you go. All right, well, let's real quick go on to some of the releases. I'm going to give a name, and then you guys say where you think this person's going to end up. Let's start off right off the bat with Samoa Joe. Where do you think he's going?
I'll go AEW, but by way of Impact.
Okay. I also think AEW, but truthfully, and I feel like this is a long shot, but I would love Samoa Joe in New Japan. Like, I feel like his style would mesh in there perfectly, but I do agree with Derek. I think he's going to go AEW.
I don't think Samoa Joe's release was surprising to him. I think that he knew. I think there was discussions because there's no way that they would have had. I mean, I just feel like I think they pretty much told him, like, right now we can't clear you for whatever reason, and they asked him basically, do you want to go? And basically still wrestle, because they put a lot of energy into his commentating, even being on commentary for WrestleMania. It would have been one thing if they just put him in one match for commentary, but he was showcased throughout the event on both nights. So I feel like I think he's going to end up back into WWE as a commentator at some point. So I think, but I do think that he's going to go back to Ring of Honor, and I do think that he's probably going to end up in New Japan as well. I think he has some goals, and I think he kind of, like, Ring of Honor needs like a big name to like an old school big name, and it would be great to see him in AEW. There's a lot of matches that would be amazing to see him in, but I think that at the end of the day, I mean, I don't see him just going back to doing what in AEW. He's gonna just have really good matches, but be in the same position he was in WWE. Ring of Honor, he will be the man, and New Japan, I feel like they would push him as the man as well.
Yeah.
Well, so this is a bold prediction, super bold. But I think that they're going to have him come back at Bound for Glory, challenge Kenny, and win the Impact title back.
Which would be great. I think that's
would be sick.
A possibility.
Because then he can wrestle as a free agent, and we won't know where he's actually signed.
Yeah. All right.
So Kenny Omega has 3 world championships right now, doesn't he? Sorry to sidebar, but he's AAA, AEW, and Impact, huh?
And TNA.
Yeah,
and TNA.
Yeah, the butterfly belt was already subscribed to New Japan, so they didn't merge the belts into. But all right, so the next one, let's just put them into a combo. The Iconics.
AEW easy.
100%.
Yeah, AEW for sure.
I think that we'd all agree on that. I mean, that's a great sign for them because
Immediately,
though-
their women's division shoots up. Sorry,
Yeah.
cut you off, Jay.
and they're well, no, you're good. I mean, they're not the best wrestlers, but they were hands down one of the most entertaining duos and just tag teams in general. Like splitting them up, everybody thought Billy Kay was just gonna kind of like flounder, and she crushed it. And Peyton was the only one that was kind of floundering, not for her own, like that was just from lack of WWE pushing her. But I definitely think that any company would be smart to pull them back, to sign them. But I do think as well that it'll be AEW.
And Sean Spears actually just did an interview, and he did confirm that as far as he knows, they plan on staying a team, even if they do indies or wherever they go.
They should. Maybe they'll be in Pinnacle. Let's go on with Mickey James.
NWA.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that's a good answer. I honestly, with Mickey James, I'm lost because I feel like she's getting close enough to that retirement age where I'm not sure how much more she wants to put in. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if she's going to go into more of a training role eventually. But I love the NWA idea actually. Like she fits into NWA in my mind.
Absolutely.
Well, and one thing that would be cool is if she did go to NWA, they could have her replace Nick Aldis's valet, and then have Nick Aldis and Mickey James just run the place.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Chelsea
and then they
Green.
can get rid of Tyrus because Tyrus is trash.
What do you think about Chelsea Green? Where's she going?
Impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a Impact, maybe NWA, but I don't see AEW really making much of a push for her. And aside from that, I don't really see where else she would end up.
Yeah, I think
Well,
she's going to want to go with Matt. And
Well, it's yes, because Matt Cardona is in Impact, but we also have to remember Brandy and Cody, Chelsea and Matt Cardona are all really close. So it is AEW is a possibility, but it's more likely that she'll go with her husband or with her fiance.
I definitely can see her making an appearance on Dynamite as like a surprise thing, and then signing with Impact, similar to what Matt did. You know, he came out there, did a couple things, and then ended up signing to another company, which wouldn't hurt. Like, I mean, get your name out there, especially on such a big platform, or see what they're offering. Tucker.
Impact.
And Dan, just in case you don't know who Tucker is, he was with Otis for Heavy Machinery. Not many people remember him. Otis barely remembers him, but he did cause Otis the Money in the Bank, and then he showed up like 2 more times. I feel like maybe Impact, maybe NWA, maybe Walmart. He's definitely going to be doing some local wrestling in his wherever he resides.
I was gonna say completely independent. Like I just don't see a big company really making too strong of an effort to grab him up.
No, and it sucked because he got in really good shape for him to not do anything, but
as long as he follows like kind of what Big Cass did, where obviously Cass had some issues that I'm glad he worked through. But I mean, if he can follow what Cass did, I think he has a future, because he was never bad. It's just his gimmicks were just kind of meh.
Yeah.
But as a bigger guy in NXT, like, he was really cool.
All right. We are running a little bit out of time, so I'm just gonna give the rest of the names, and you guys just drop out what company you think. Kalisto.
AAA.
AEW.
Impact. But also AAA. I think that he's going to do them both. Sorry, now I'm examining. Okay. Bo Dallas.
AEW.
I'm going Impact for Bo.
And I'll go NWA. Wesley Blake.
Oh. AEW.
NWA.
I also think NWA. The biggest surprise of all the releases, Mojo Rawley.
Retire.
Oh, retire.
Please.
I think I'm gonna go with Impact.
Yeah, I would say Impact or just Gronk's couch. And yeah, so that is the most recent releases. So all right, so let's think of a homework assignment next week. What do you guys want to choose as our favorite of some subject?
I kind of have an idea just because you kind of brought it up when we were talking about Benoit, but maybe like a favorite triple threat match.
Okay, I like that. That is
Just an idea. I mean, we don't have to go with
no,
that.
no,
but
absolutely. I think that's a great one because that's a very obscure one that doesn't get a lot of attention. So I'm cool with that one. If Derek's cool with that one,
Yeah. Does that include triple threat tag matches and stuff like that?
yeah, any triple threat.
Okay.
Right on. Yeah, because
All right.
like when we were talking about Benoit, I immediately thought of a couple that he's in alone, and then I got on my own little like head tangent of just a bunch of triple threat matches. So I think that'd be a great one.
Oh yeah, I definitely think it because it definitely I like the idea because it really makes me think of like wow, like which because I mean there is a lot of great triple threat matches. There's a lot of bad triple threat matches, but usually those are just on Raw. Those are just usually on Raw as like a really quick thing. But all right, so next week we will discuss our favorite triple threat, and yeah. So until next week, I'll see you guys later.
And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow us on Twitter.
Oh, and also Derek.
Tell them about your
about
giveaway,
the
Derek.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once we hit 100 likes on Facebook, we will be giving away. It's going to be an autograph from my personal collection. So
Nice. All right. Well, see you guys next week.
See you guys next week.